One of the highest ROI things you can do as an entrepreneur or as a business owner is just to travel the world and go to different events. But no, I truly believe this. And right now I'm currently in Miami and there's 2 different events that I'm going to. And I've been all over the world. I've been to dozens of different events over the last few years. And there's different ones that you can go to. You can go to different like partnership or software events inside of your industry. You can go to different high-level masterminds. A lot of them you'll have to pay in or pay, quite a lot for a ticket. You might have to pay a yearly mastermind fee to be part of that group. There's also different speaking events that you can go to where this is more of like, instead of having a dozen people or hundreds of people, there's probably thousands of people, but it's still in your industry where it brings a lot of people together. And then there's other like networking events that you can go to. And I highly recommend going to all of these and seeing what ones you truly enjoy and what you connect with most. Me personally, I prefer going to the smaller masterminds where it's a smaller room. And I've been to so many of these. We've been to ones with Ty Lopez, and that was like way back when. I also was at some of Grant Cardone events and was at like so many different ones. And you have to figure out like what are the ones that you really enjoy, because sometimes going to these like speaking events or networking events where there's thousands and thousands of people, it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So I'd recommend going to all of them and seeing what works best for you, and then just make sure that you have a look on the calendar. You figure out, okay, what events are coming up in your industry. So for myself, we're mainly in, obviously we have like email and retention agency, and that's all inside of e-commerce. So we can go to like all of the e-commerce masterminds, the e-commerce events, and even some of their partner ones. But then we can also go to some agency stuff as well, where we can figure out, okay, how can we actually grow our agency and what are some of the things that we need to be focused on there. So, and then you can go deeper inside of that then. So if you look at the agency level, then you're like, okay, we can actually go to like different marketing events, or we can go to different sales events or different hiring ones. So there's literally levels and levels to it, and there's unlimited amount of events. You could go to an event every single weekend, or probably every single day, if you're willing to fly all over the world. Okay, I think a sweet spot, if you go to, let's say, 2 events a quarter, is pretty good, because I know if you're traveling every single month, you're going to an event every single month, it definitely can get taxing, especially if you're traveling from the US to Dubai to Europe, back to the US. It's rare you're going to travel to somewhere like Australia or something like that, but who knows, maybe you will, and it all depends on where you are in the world, I guess. So that is one thing, like figure out your events, put them on your calendar, and then also just like hound people to go to them. So anytime I book an event, I remember a couple of years ago, I went to Affiliate World in Dubai. And then what I'd done is literally every single person that I know in the game, I was like, hey, I'm going to Affiliate World. You want to go? You want to go? You want to go? And I was like, early bird tickets, let's go. And I just like sent a link to like a dozen people. And even some of my friends that are like not in e-commerce or whatever, I'm like, there's going to be an amazing group, let's book it. So I remember there ended up being about 15 of us then that flew into Dubai, and I think maybe about 6 of us went to Affiliate World. The rest of us were just there connecting, meeting up with some people, went for some good food, had great conversations. And this is what you need to do. Like, I will go to some events on my own. Generally, I will know some people there, but I will still, like, if no one else is going, I'm still willing to go on my own, because sometimes you have to do that, okay? Because people are busy, they've got other things going on, and it mightn't be directly aligned with what they're doing, okay? Like some of my friends are in some e-com events, I'm like, I'm not gonna go to that, but then there's other reasons why they want to go to it, because there might be, one of their account managers for one of their ad platforms or something might be there, okay? And some of the benefits of going to events, and you probably know these already, and I'm just listing out the ones that I have personally seen over the last few years, because I would say at this stage now, probably spent on masterminds and events like over 6 figures, and then if you include the travel then to get there as well, it's even more. But I don't regret it at all. And in one of my previous videos that I made, and I recorded this back in December, when it was like 22 reflections and lessons from my previous years, for the previous year, one of the things that I said is that I never regret going to a mastermind or an event, and to do more of it, okay? So I'm in Miami right now. I was just at a Klaviyo Partner Day for one day yesterday, and then we have another 3-day event coming while I'm over here. And then when I fly back, I then go to a different e-commerce event for 3 days as well. And you get to meet some great people. So that is point number one, is you get to meet some great people. And if I have a look back at my current friend group right now and who I'm closest to and who I'm chatting to every day, every single one of these people I have met through traveling, okay, or through a mastermind, or through an event, or through a person that I met at a mastermind who then connected me. And that's just so important, to go out, connect with people, and like, you're gonna meet dozens of people and not everyone is gonna align with you, but then there will be a couple of people that you will get really, really close with, and you'll potentially become best friends in the game. Maybe you'll even become a partner one day, okay? The next thing is that you get to people will solve your problems. Now, for your problems to be solved, most of the time you have to be willing to open up about your current problems. And one thing I do see at events sometimes as well is like, people will have an ego and they'll be like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I don't have any problems, like, you know, we're just growing. So like, you have to be willing to open up about like what your current problem is right now. And like, if you have an agency, it's either gonna be like a sales problem, or like a marketing problem, a sales problem, an operations problem, a hiring problem, or a finance problem. So you want to be willing to open up like, oh, hey, we're currently dealing with this thing where like we can't get good enough talent, or like we just can't close the deals, or we just can't get the leads. And then be willing to open up about that and then go deeper, like what is it about like the hiring problem, like why can't you get these good people? And then maybe it's around, okay, you just need to pay more, you need to give better incentives. So you really want to like, when you go to these events, and like now I'm going to be at this mastermind for 3 days, and I have like a really good idea of not what our current problems are, but what are our bottlenecks going to be when we want to grow a whole lot more and double and triple our business. I know what the bottlenecks are going to be. So it's like, okay, what do we need to put in place to make sure that we can stop this from happening in the future? So it's really important that you go there with, you know, trying to solve these problems. So if you're in e-commerce, for example, it could be like, the biggest problem could be in Q4, you just can't get the credit to scale. So you want to try and like find people and find partners that are willing to give you credit, or to give you some sort of financing or investment so you can spend aggressively, so you can make a bunch of money in Q4, okay? Or to pay for your stock, whatever it is, okay? So that's one thing. The next thing is that you get to provide value. So a lot of the times we are stuck behind our laptops 6 to 14 hours a day, or anywhere in between. It all depends on how much you're working, I guess. And I know everyone goes through different periods, but you get to close down your laptop and just connect with people that are like on the same wavelength and have an interest in what you're doing, okay? And then you get to provide value into people. And I love doing this. And you can like, for their problems, you get to solve them, you get to help them. And a lot of the time when you're speaking with people and when you're, let's say, coaching or having conversation or helping other people solve problems, you're also learning things for yourself. And you're like, hey, you should do this. And you might say that, and then like, you might be thinking, damn, I'm not even doing that myself, so I need to do that myself. So you get to provide value. And then when you provide value, then you're also, you know, if you give insight, then, you know, you might have a bit of authority, you learn, and then people are like, oh, Jordan's the go-to guy for email. Like you want to see what he was talking about for like retention and for these other things, and like all the new Clayview updates, like these guys are on top of that. And then, you know, there'll be a knock-on effect there, or a snowball effect, where you might get multiple referrals or more business or solve more problems, whatever it is, okay, or grow your personal brand, right? And that's the next thing, is like, you get to potentially get clients or partners or whatever it is. This, once again, it all depends on your business. So for our agency, like obviously, we've got so many clients from going to these events, like so many. And we've also got like some partners as well. So if this is like referral partners or software partners, we've also got some partners from going to these events. And this is something where like you connect with someone once, and then it just like, it pays dividends for years and years and years to come, okay? The next thing is you get to see how people operate. So this is in like multiple different ways. So generally, if you're going to these events, I would always recommend, like, if you're traveling on your own, or if you're like, you know, going somewhere, I always recommend like you try and live with other people. So you try and live with other people that you're going to the event with for multiple reasons. Like obviously you're going to save money, you might be able to get a nicer place, but also like you get to see how people operate. How do they go about their day to day? How do they show up? How do they operate? How do they work? How do they close deals? Like what is their action like? Or like what are their habits like? Or are they just like Are they just someone that's just like, you know, lounging around, not working much, or just like working off their phone, or do things differently? So it's really interesting to get an insight into like how people operate, and like even things around like when they wake up, or what are their eating habits like, and whatever it is. And you can like just like pick some small things, being like, oh damn, you do that? Oh, I've seen people do that. I've never thought about doing it. Damn, I'm gonna do that from now on, right? So that is the next thing. And then you also get to experience different cultures. And this is just great if you're in like places you've never been before. It's an excuse to travel. If it's, you know, a different city in America, if you're in Asia, wherever you are, you get to experience different cultures and like see the world from a different lens. And one of the things I would say about being in bigger cities like Miami, New York, even Dubai, is there's just an abundance of wealth and money, and it just makes you think bigger. And you even overhear some conversations about people talking about certain things. I think in America in general is almost like things are more expensive here. People have a different view on money. I guess it all depends on kind of like industry and stuff like that. But it's great to experience this, and it can be very motivating as well at times. Like let's say you don't really travel much, you're living in like your hometown. It's like you're just surrounded by the same things over and over and over again. And when you go to places like Dubai, and especially if like the first time you be there, if you're there all the time or you're always traveling, it, you know, over time it doesn't have as much of an effect. But if you go to Dubai for the first time, or somewhere like Miami, and you see the supercars, you see the yachts, you see how people are living, it's just like extremely motivating. And I know material things don't solve all of your problems, right? But it's like a lot of the time when you're in this game, like those are the things that you're striving towards, or that like you ultimately want to get. And you can get there and have the money to buy them. You don't have to buy them, but I think striving to get them is definitely the best part, like the journey, right? And then when you experience those cultures, you get to see life ultimately from a different lens, and you can, you know, get some amazing villa or get some amazing apartment and be able to like live the life that you potentially want to live in the future from doing that. Like I know I went to a Grant Cardone event here in Miami 7 years ago, and maybe more. And at the time I was still working a normal job, but we actually had an e-commerce brand at the time. And, you know, I had to like take a week off from work to come here, and went to the event every day and was learning. And, you know, if I was to like say to myself back then, like my younger self back then, where I'd be at today, it's just unbelievable, you know. And like obviously I've been in the game for like, there's been a lot that has happened over that 7 years, and it's just been, you know, a relentless pursuit to do better and to constantly be getting feedback and taking action, and no matter what, just showing up every day with a vision, a mission, and just going after it. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I know that going to that event in Miami, Grant Cardone's 10X, it was in a massive stadium. It was crazy. It's the first time I heard about ClickFunnels and all this sort of stuff, and it was so overwhelming for me at the time as well. I was like almost afraid to talk to people. It was my first business event to ever go to, and there was like 30,000 people there. So that was definitely, you know, I threw myself in the deep end there, and I went with a couple of other people. But I know that had such a massive impact on me, and I actually have got 10X tattooed on my arm as well, which a little bit crazy, but you know, because that event had such a big impact on me. And it's amazing just reflecting on that. I know that, you know, potentially now I mightn't be where I'm at today if I didn't go to that event, because after that event I then bought into with someone else. We then actually flew to LA like 4 months later to go to a Ty Lopez event, and then from that we met more people. Like there I met Ty, I met his business partner, also people like Dan Fleshman. There was loads of other people there that I met that just like really opened me up to different things. And I remember asking Ty the question of like, what's your advice for someone that wants to leave their job? And Ty gave me this amazing answer. I have the whole thing recorded, where he was like, there's two ways you can, it's either like you play it safe or you take the risk. And maybe I'll make another video about all the things I've learned from Ty Lopez. I've been to multiple of his events, and he's been a big impact on my entrepreneur journey as well. And then the last thing that I have here is that you get to have fun and connect with like-minded people. So I guess this all depends. I'm not much of a party guy, but I know some people are. So if you are, you get to come to different places, you get to go out, have fun, whatever it is. And then you get to connect with like-minded people, like I already talked about, and you can just like, you know, like generally, if you've never been around people, or you're not around people all that often that are in the same game, like you could literally go out for dinner and talk for 6 hours straight, even like 12 hours straight, about business, about the current problems you're dealing with, where you're trying to go, what your dreams are, like trying to optimize different things in life, okay? So if this hasn't convinced you to travel the world and to go to more events, then I don't know what would, but it has been a massive impact for me, and I highly recommend that. It's something that I'll keep doing for the next few years. I do think there will come a point where I'll definitely pull back and go to less events, because there probably won't be as much leverage, or it's just not worth it, you know, as you get older as well. But for the next few years, it's definitely something that I will keep doing and keep going to, and trying different ones. Then there's some really good ones that you like, and then you go to them on a yearly basis. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, and hope you have a great day. Cheers.